Ugh. Oh, good boy. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Hey, everybody. If you've joined yet, great. If not, I'll wait for you. But anyway, what we're doing is cleaning up the office. Hey, Woods, what's up? This is the Cleaning Up the Office live stream. Figured I'd put that on while I'm working on cleaning up the office. And I have friends here with me. Come here, Luke. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Huh? You good boy? Yeah. I have little Lou here with me. Yep. The meatball. Say hi, meatball. Huh? You a good boy? Or have you eaten TV remotes? He recently ate the TV remote. So, gonna hunt some. Oh, nice. All right. You go lay down. Yeah, we're waiting for the desert to open back up. So, because they shut down the BLM land because it's so hot and there's a fire risk. So, I don't know if it's opened up yet, but the temp hasn't dropped enough to where it's like worth checking. But yeah, I'm hoping to get out and do some skeet shooting. Got a really nice deal on a whole bunch of clays and then found some bird shot. So hoping to go out and hunt some clays, but gotta wait for the heat to stop. There's Elmer. Every time I open this office door, everyone is fascinated with this office because I won't let them in here by themselves. Because what ends up happening is they come in here, they jump, especially, okay, I'll put you down. Elmer, he jumps all over everything and he gets into stuff that I don't want him in, like, oils and cleaners and stuff that's not good for him. So the second I open up this door, they all rush in. So now they're all excited because they get to be in here for a little bit. But for everybody joining, this is the Cleaning Up the Office live stream. Nothing super exciting, but just doing some cleaning. And I'm actually setting up here to do a short. I'll post it in a little bit, but kind of doing like a noir theme short with my little King Cobra. Gonna try my over-under Stoeger. I almost bought a Stoeger. I was looking at I forget, maybe the M3000, something like that. And it was just like their like semi-automatic shotgun. And I'm debating a semi-automatic shotgun for shooting skeet. But I don't know. I don't know how deep I want to get into it because right now, both me and Angelini, we managed to track down some pretty cool. What'd she get? She found an Ithaca, and then I found I think it's a Stevens, but it's labeled like Western Ward or something. It's like a Montgomery Ward like stamped shotgun. They're both slam fire, which is really nice. And I actually did try shooting clays with slam fire, and I managed to hit one, so that was fun. I mean, it only took four shots to hit one clay, but I'd call that effective. Um, so I'm looking at maybe getting a semi-automatic, and it was between the Stoeger or trying to track down a decent condition Remington Model 11. I thought about an over and under, but it seems like over and unders are so damn expensive. It's like crazy. Like a proper over and under, like you start looking at some of that stuff, and it's like nuts. So I don't know. I guess I could find a cheaper over and under. Let's see. I actually almost had one. There was a guy about an hour from here that had a Winchester. I forget the model, but it was an older Japanese made Winchester, and sold it out from under me. So I ended up not getting M2000. Yeah, I'm debating getting something. Shame is I got, and here is. I don't know. I can't bring it over, but I got basically the parts to a Remington Model 11 that need to be worked on. But I have debated an over-under. Are you going to calm down now so I can clean? Huh? All right. Let me turn on the fan. Actually, you know what? I wonder if I can. I guess I don't need the mic. It's a small enough office. gonna put the fan on. Let me know if the fan makes noise. My office gets hot in the beginning of the day because of how the sun rotates around. Get the M3500 because 3.5 shells. I looked at I think it was the M3000, and the thing, I saw the M3500. I know it shoots the bigger shells, but especially for shooting like skeet, because I just keep getting like, where is it? I have like I just keep getting good, like this cheap stuff, because shooting skeet, you don't need anything else. And I wouldn't really honestly see even a 2 3/4 inch chamber. I think I'd be all right. Put that back. But yeah, I don't know. I'm debating. I'm debating, depending upon how much more I get into skeet, like getting a true, like, either an over and under or a semi-automatic, something to get into it further. But for now, like I just got the wobbler on the Wheelie Bird, so that makes it way more interesting, because I noticed we got the Wheelie Bird. It was a lot of fun, but the problem was, like, as you're going with, because it was kind of throwing in the same spot, you basically just started like holding in that spot, waiting for the clay to get there. So I noticed that, like with the wobbler, it's all over the place, making it a little more interesting and a little tougher. So for anybody that has a Wheelie Bird, the wobbler is a pretty cool addition. I still have to do a review of it, but might do it out in the desert. M2000 is 2 3/4 inch. Yeah, that was actually something I didn't realize, that like Stoeger, Benelli, like it's all basically the same company. It's just like levels of shotgun. All right, go lay down. What, you want to show everybody? All right, come here. Come here. Oh, don't you grumble. Here. This is Lou. He needs a bath. He's a good boy, but he eats TV remotes and Legos. Do you eat Legos? Say yes, I do. Yes, he gets lots of belly rubs. He gets belly rubs and scratches and pits. Yeah. YouTube gaming. I don't know anything about YouTube gaming. You good boy. You good boy. Alright, Lou. Here, jump up and entertain them for a sec. I'm gonna get something from the other room. I will be right back in a sec. Oh, I guess I'll do it in a sec. But something that's interesting out here is they shut down, because you always see like people shooting out in the desert. They shut down at least this area for like most of the summer, like, because it's such a fire hazard. And I think, don't quote me, but if a fire starts out in the desert, they kind of just, because of the water issues, I've seen them, they just kind of let it go sometimes. But because there was a fire probably about an hour from here, and like it was going on for days, and you just heard about it moving, but you didn't really hear about anybody doing anything to stop it. So I think that, if it's out in the desert, they just kind of let it go a little bit. But don't quote me on that. I don't, maybe they were doing something, you just never heard about anybody doing anything. Oh, hello, Elmer. Huh? Oh, you like your little, I got him this little pickle that he leaves in the office. But this is what I'm mainly cleaning. I'm resacking all of the ammo cans up. And like I said, I'm going to film a short up here with the radio. The radio is actually, it's kind of a cool project that ripped out the old guts, because I got all the tubes and everything over there. And, oh, hey, Emma, what's up? And I ripped out the guts. I repaired some of the cracks. I cleaned off probably about 60 years of nicotine, because Dawn Power Wash does a really good job of taking off nicotine stains. But, oh, that sucks. Damn. Did they give you any reason or just like gone? Like, was it strikes or anything, or like just bye, gone, have a nice day? But so after about 60 years of nicotine stains, which I love Dawn Power Wash, it took probably 10 spray downs, like a legitimate. I just kept like hosing it down with the Dawn Power Wash in the tub. And then I actually did a little short showing how much like the brown yellow nicotine shit that was coming off of it. And then after I ripped out the guts, I put some Velcro on, like, there's like a plate in there that gets screwed into the base. And then I put Velcro on that, and I put the Velcro on the bottom of an Alexa, and it's sitting like right there where the speaker is. So it actually works pretty cool. And then I put lights in there, so like it's on a switch. So like I can turn it on and off, and then it takes a sec for the Alexa to boot up. 1 minute. Alexa, stop! Personally, I'm not a big fan of the Alexas, but we have them all over the house, so I just kind of embraced it. And this one I have on a switch, so I can turn it on and off. Alright. Strikes for sale. I've noticed, and I guess I'll be vague because you never know what YouTube, listens. I don't know. You always hear like they get weird if you talk about actual YouTube. I've gotten a lot of videos lately that have gotten the little like yellow thing instead of the green thing because reasons, like especially the shorts. Like at one point I did like 5 shorts in the one day, and I had like every single one of them was yellow instead of green, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like I get, it seems like if it's shooting guns, it's more likely to get flagged, and then if the sound's a little bit spicy, because you find the trending sound or whatever, do a cool video with, that definitely got flagged. But some of it was just like ridiculous. Like it was really me talking about something and it didn't even really show anything. Hang on, Elmer. See, this is I was saying earlier, like I try not to let him in here. I know you can't see, but it's like phone's a tripod. But Elmer's trying to like climb up. Can I switch this around on the fly? Let's see, here, I'll show you. The office is a complete mess. But there is, Elmer, you can't be in there. All right, let me take care of him 1 sec because he gets, I don't mind him being in there. It's nice having him in here, but the problem is he gets into stuff that he's not supposed to, and he really, really likes Q-tips. And the problem is the Q-tips he's after have Ballistol at the best, and the worst is like hoppies and stuff on them. So like some of them definitely not something I want him eating. But that sucks about the channel deletion. Is it something you can appeal? Is it something you can like go in and appeal? Because as I was saying, like all those videos got flagged, and then by requesting a manual appeal, 95% of the stuff I request an appeal comes back. So I wonder if you can appeal it somehow. Yeah, Alexa is watching. That's why it's on a switch, because I can like, if I'm in here and I want it on to like listen to something, like sometimes I'll listen to the Johnny Dollar radio show. Woods will know what that is. I can turn it on, and then if like, I don't want it on or listening or whatever, I can just, and it's off. And I know it's on and off because the light is connected to the same thing. Yeah, I know, the wiretap thing. I've heard different things on the Alexas, and it kind of makes sense, and I get like, I've seen a lot of tests where it's kind of like they'll like do different tests where like say you're like on the computer and you look up, they know that it's all, I almost wonder if it's not so much it's like Big Brother spying on you as it's Big Brother trying to figure out what to sell you, because I'll search like a dog toy or something, and then for the next day like all my ads are for dog toys because I typed dog toy into one search engine. In fact, a guy did a video where he did that and literally showed his ads change in like real time. So I think it's listening to you, but I think it's trying to figure out what else it can sell you that day. Oh, see you, Ammo, if you haven't already left. Yeah, like wiretap order a pizza. Yeah, it's interesting because a couple times I've been just like talking to somebody randomly in the house, and it'll start yapping about something, and it's like nobody asked you anything. But it does have to listen all the time. Like that's what some of the I was trying to realize I'm rambling in this story, but like people would be like, oh, it's not listening all the time, and then they literally explain it that for the technology to work, it's got to listen 24/7 for you to say, "Hey Alexa, what's the weather right now?"
Right now in Santan Valley, it's 99 degrees Fahrenheit with clear
So
skies
it's
and
got to
sun.
listen.
Tonight's forecast is
Alexa,
mostly
stop.
clear.
So it's got to listen all the time to hear you say that phrase. So it's always listening. Yes, Elmer does whatever he wants. Elmer, I love him to death, but he's orange and he is just a menace. Like, he will climb on everything. He loves screwing around with cords and stuff. Like, cords are his favorite, unfortunately, which is not good when you have a bunch of cords that are important. But yeah, he's a menace. Hello, Vanessa Kitty. I peeled, but they have never helped me out. It's something to do with that channel. Roll with it, I'm still making shorts. Hey, yeah, right on. You know what? And that's kind of, I always figured like someday, you know what, if the channel gets big enough where I get banned, it's just kind of like whatever, you know what, I'll deal with it. Like, that's like the true legacy of YouTube, a YouTube firearm channel, is you get big enough and annoying enough that YouTube bans you. I'm on the U. Yeah. I do searches for very specific papers and products to make my feed filled with those. Yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, I really think that yes, it's always like everything is paying attention to what you're doing, but it's not even so much like, to like spy on you as it is to just market to you better. Video plays soon. Skip ad. I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, SGR21. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, sorry, Lou. But yeah, it really is interesting. Like as technology becomes more and more. Like I actually just did a video. I guess Tesla's working on these robots or something that like, are getting better, and it's like it's gonna get interesting as we get more automated and we get like more things that like the whole thing with the docks where like they were showing like fully automated sections of the docks, and I know people that have been to like the LA docks, and they say there's entire sections that are completely automated, and like people aren't allowed, and if someone goes in there it completely shuts down the whole operation because they've got little robot trucks taking the containers and they got robot cranes unloading the containers. And it's like, yeah, you know what? It's interesting because it's gonna happen. A robot is definitely cheaper than a person, so companies are gonna go to more automation and smarter computers. You know, I wish it was that. It's still 100 here. Like we're finally the end of the week is gonna like kind of go down into like the finally the 90s, and supposedly next week 70s. I doubt that though, but definitely looking forward to some cooler weather. What are you eating? Stop eating that. I swear the cat and the dogs are going to think their names are Stop Eating That. Usually for Elmer, it's Get Out of the Office. Thanks everybody for the likes. I appreciate that. Helps out. Put this in the trash. He found the grip tape I put on my little Walther P99. I was testing it out. Love the gun, but the grip is very slick, and the indoor range I go to is it's like hot and poorly ventilated. So after you're shooting for a little bit, your hands start getting sweaty. You really can't do much about it. So I was having trouble like with the gun kind of sliding around. So I tried some grip tape, and it did help. But I think that the grip on that's like the texture's not very good, and I'm not going to modify it because they're going out of production soon. Yeah, I can believe that. Luckily, they don't lick so much. Honestly, they usually end up licking like me. Like I'll be sitting there and like like Cooper especially will just start licking you, and it's like, why are you licking me? You know, I get it, you like me, but like, relax. So yeah, but what I got to figure out here is I got to clean up the top of this, and then I'm gonna film the short probably later on tonight. I'm trying to do like a couple noir shorts with it, and then I have to do. Everybody seems to like my firearm companies I'd recommend avoiding, or firearm industry companies. I'm going to do one that is ones I recommend, which should be kind of fun. But I'm going to put together, I've got a list because people keep asking, they keep adding names and stuff like that to the list. So of course it's going to be my opinions and my experiences. So like while it's interesting seeing people's list, it's mostly going to be based off of my experience, but I'm planning on doing a part two to the ones I'd avoid, and then doing a part one to companies I'd recommend, because you know, hey, might as well try and make positive and negative. But for those wondering, Glock is actually going to be on the ones I recommend because, and I'm not spoiling anything because you know everybody knows what Glock is, but it's basically the Toyota Camry of the gun world. It works. It's boring. It's lame. It's overrated, but it works. So Glock's gonna end up on there. If a Frenchy dog was a gun, what gun? I don't know. Well, Frenchies are in right now. Everybody wants a Frenchie. Huh. I don't know. I'd have to think about that because they're small, they're feisty, they're expensive. I don't know. Huh. What do you think, Elmer? What would a Frenchie be if it was a gun? Thing is, there's not really many French firearm manufacturers. So like you know, it's there's like you can't even pick like a French gun. Labs are Mossy 500. Yeah, labs are pretty much, they're pretty easy to and that's actually a good pick, the Mossberg 500, because they're very easy to please. Like I got a Mossberg 590 that just sits in the corner, and that's why I did the video talking about like you know every once in a while I'll take it and wipe it down, and it's like that's about all it asks for really. You know, people been shoving Mossberg 500s and 590s in their closets and weird spots all over their house for, you know, I mean, hell, as long as they've been coming out. And, you know, they, for the most part, don't mind it. But Belgium for the Frenchie? Huh. You know what? I feel like there'd be something H&K, because H&K, you know, it's like, I'll use the word bougie. You know, I'm not big up on the new terms of everything, but you know they're kind of like fancy. FN, yeah, it could be an FN too. Oh wait, is H and K is German. Never mind. Yeah, I guess you know what? I guess FN. Yeah, FN. I don't know. I feel like they'd be like the little FN reflex, that little thing, which is kind of neat. And I really debated one of the new reflexes, but honestly, for the first time fire, like I went and like handled one and it felt nice in the hand, but when I dry fired it, it's supposed to be, I'm pretty sure it's a hammer fired gun, and the trigger wasn't that good. Like compared to a lot of other hammer fired guns, and I mean that's primarily what I really like shooting. Like I'm just not that big on striker fired stuff. I was really kind of disappointed because it was kind of mushy. But then again, I think it's like a single action only, which I think honestly it would have been nicer to see a double action, single action, and I wonder if that's part of why the hammer fired action was a little bit mushy, because you know obviously they didn't want it to be a nice crisp single action with nothing. 9 millimeter. Yeah, the reflex is 9 millimeter. It's basically FN's version of the SIG 365. It's again they're nice, but I was not impressed with the trigger, and honestly I like the 365 trigger more, and that's saying something because I'm pretty sure there's just striker fired. So I really wanted to like that because I was really debating one. you know, as something like even like a little pocket gun or something. Because after getting rid of my little 638, I still gotta replace it with something. But at the time, I just haven't tracked anything down that I like. Um, but I just after handling it, I did not fall in love with it, like I thought I would. Hello, I am Indian. Well, hello, Indian. How are you doing? I'm guessing you're from India. My guess. I could be wrong, but hello, if you're from India, hello from India. How's it going? Yes. All right. Yep. Figured as much. Try the XDM Elite 10 millimeter. I'm a big fan of 10 millimeter. I'm not the biggest fan of Springfield, and maybe yeah, here's my thing. I think they make an okay product. I just can't get past the grip zone thing. Like it's like a meme, and like here's the thing that here's what I've noticed. If you see a gun for sale a lot, there's a reason. And you always see XDMs and the whole XD Springfield series. You go into a gun shop, and I always feel like they're for sale. I feel like they're always sitting there, you know, and usually it's like something somebody carried, and it's got mags and whatever in a holster. So it's like that tells me that there's something about them people don't like that they keep getting rid of them. Oh yeah, I do have the Delta Elite. So the reason why I was talking about this in the last time, the reason I'm really I'm looking for something polymer framed because out here in the desert, right? Like it's October. I mean, you could damn near say we're moving into mid-October, and it's still 100 degrees. So like in the middle of the summer, it's 120. You sweat. You sweat more than you've ever think you'd sweat, and I noticed that stuff that I've not seen rust on is getting a little bit of rust and under the grips, and usually under the grips. And like my Delta Elite had a little tiny bit of pitting, little tiny bit underneath the one grip, and of course it was a grip that would ride against your side. And so that's why I'm really thinking of trying something that is polymer framed, just because then it's a little less maintenance for in the dead of summer when it's 120 and you're gonna sweat no matter what. So that's honestly where I'm thinking of just trying something polymer framed for in the middle of summer, because no matter what you do, you're going to sweat on it, and unless you just constantly want to be taking the grips off and oiling them underneath, you might as well just I'm going to try something polymer. In fact, I got to do a video talking about my FN High Power, because I've had that thing less than a year, and it's got some fancy whatever coating on it. You know, the new coatings they put on guns are basically supposed to be crazy. Um, you know, and there's rust under the grips. And I called them and I reached out to them and I said, you know, hey, what's the deal? Like this gun, you know, the finish isn't worn at all in that spot. It just kind of rusted through the grips or through the finish into the metal, and it actually pitted. Like it wasn't even like surface rust. Like I scrubbed away at it, and there's pitting. And so that's got to go back to FN. They're going to look at that because I kind of was like, hey, you know, did the finish not get put on right? Like, what's the deal here? Because, you know, and I talked about how my wife, you know, carries a 43X, and she basically, you know, she doesn't care as much as I do about wiping stuff down. You know, that's her gun. She can do what she wants with it. And it's fine. Like the gun, not a spot of rust on it, and she's had it for years. Versus, you know, this thing, which less than a year old, and it's already got rust on it. So, but it's going back, and I'll see what they do about it. Delete has a grip zone removed. I bet you I wouldn't be surprised. I know they came out with that new, I think it's the Echelon or something like that. And I think they finally get rid of the word grip zone. Something I noticed about Springfield, and when I was first getting into handguns, I think you see a lot of marketing for Springfield, and that's why a lot of people buy them. Because like in the beginning, I was all gung ho, I'm gonna get a Springfield, and then you know, I just like kind of moved past that. I never got one. But 9mm really. The thing with 9mm is like, while I'd like to find something in 10, your options for a polymer framed, and I'll say something that's not a Glock, your options for polymer framed semi-automatic 10mm that's not like just a massive, massive gun. And I carry big guns, but I mean, I don't want something that's, you know, that big. are very limited for something that's also hammer fired. Like I prefer something that's like a double single action hammer fired. So it's really tough to find something that's not 9 millimeter. Like 9 millimeter, you got a few options. You've got the, what I'm really looking at is the, what is it, the Beretta PX4 Storm, maybe like the Comp 2 or something. Because as ugly as they are, I keep seeing people talk about, where'd you go? Oh, he's playing in there. I keep hearing people talk about how they're really good guns. Try a SIG P29 and 40 and 357 SIG. I've always debated getting into 357 SIG. Seems like a really good caliber. I just never pulled the trigger on one of them, so to speak. Get more 357 snubby. I've actually, that's what I've been carrying lately is my little King Cobra 3-inch. But I actually started using the Renaissance wax stuff, and because it's got, I put vintage Detective Special grips on it, so I went and used the Renaissance wax on the wood, because one of the times I was carrying it, and this is kind of nasty, I unclipped it from my belt, and the grips were like damp, and I'm like, oh. So I used the Renaissance wax on the grips to keep the moisture out of the grips, but that's what I've been carrying lately, because it's smaller and lighter, and just something I can stick on pretty easy. Am I up to date on the, oh, there we go, making sure I'm up to date on the chat. But yeah, I am looking, friends don't let friends carry 9 millimeter. My theory on 9 millimeter is why I know it's not the best. It's one of those things where it's like, well, if you carry enough of them, it's got to do something. Like, that's why I like carrying, like when I carry my high power, that's a 17 round mag. So like, I figured that'll at least annoy them and they'll go away at that point. For stock ammo, 357 SIG offers. So as far as 357 SIG testing against 10 millimeter, and I don't know it all. I can definitely confirm I don't know everything about it. But in the testing I've seen, and I think it was actually Paul Harrell who might have done this, the testing I've seen, 357 SIG is good, but I don't think in a lot of instances it's as good as true 10 millimeter. A lot of companies kind of download 10 millimeter to where it's not, the 200 grain bullet doing 1200 feet per second. And the problem is, I think the thing with 357 SIG was that bullets don't have enough mass to meet the damage potential, we'll call it, of say 10 millimeter. So I think it's good, but I haven't really seen a lot of testing, at least I personally haven't, where it beats out 10 millimeter, like proper loaded 10 millimeter. But I do think it's a nice round. I just don't think it's as effective as a 10 millimeter is, properly loaded. Eric isn't a know-it-all. No, you know what the thing is, the funny thing is, and I mean, look, I like to try and be informed on topics I talk about. Like, I really do, because, nobody wants to look like a dumbass and be like, oh yeah, totally, the left phalange, oh yeah, and, something like that. But here's the thing. When I do talk about topics that, like, if I'm like, okay, I've, like really read into it. Like when I got, where is it? Can you see it? Here, I'll move it over slightly. That, right? That's my my Steyerhahn 1912, right? When I purchased that, I I saw it at a shop. I went in, I looked it over, and then I went home, and I actually was working third shift at the time, so all night long, I listened to like CNR Arsenal. I did like research online. I spent like 10 hours just eating as much information I could on this firearm, right? To try and get as much information as I could. And by the time I went back in, like I went back in the next day or so to, look it over and decide if I was going to get it, um, like at that point, I remember picking it up being like, okay, so this is part of the Chilean contract, 5,000 were produced, Chile was neutral in World War One, so it probably didn't actually see service, Oh, I need, do you mind if I take it apart and check because the serial number should match here, here, and here, and here? Like I really made an effort to find out every piece of information I could to make the best informed decision. So while I'm not a know-it-all, I do try and really get a lot of information on a topic I'm going to talk about. Now, with that all being said, that was like 5, 6 years ago, and I can't remember half of the stuff that I learned, but at one point I was quite knowledgeable on something like that. So that's generally what I try and do is if I'm talking about a subject, I try and have as much information going into it to be able to if I'm giving an opinion or talking about something, then it's, a good informed decision. Yeah, she's Angelina's pretty smart about stuff, so she knows. Where are you from? I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I lived in Pennsylvania for about 30 years. Then I moved to California for 2 years, beautiful state, ruined by terrible politics. And now I'm in Arizona, where it's very hot. Well, I appreciate the compliment, Woods, and that's okay. You don't have to say nice things. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know what? It's crazy because I remember Paul Harrell, really good channel. You should go check it out. Unfortunately, he passed away, but his family is carrying on the channel, and he explained it really good, and he said, beware of the people that say they're experts. Like I remember we walked into a shop in LA, my wife and I. It was some pawn shop or whatever, because there's always another pawn shop. And it was so funny because I don't remember what we were looking at. We were looking at something, right? And the prices were nuts and it was whatever. And I remember trying to ask a question about something, and they're like, "Oh, hang on, we'll get our gun expert." And I'm like, "Oh wow, pawn shop has a gun expert. Oh wow, okay." And the guy comes over and he just starts spewing like random stuff, and I said, I'm like, "Oh, is this something that's on roster or something like that?" Which, whole California firearm roster I'm not going to get into. Um, and he just kept puffed up chest and going on and basically acting like any. It was always funny because anything I would ask, he basically took as almost not a threat, but like a challenge. Like if I said something like, "Oh, is this model? Oh, it's the top model. It's this and that." And I just say beware of anybody that's like, "I'm an expert in all things and I know everything," because the people that got something to prove, it's I don't know. I got nothing to prove. Like I know what I know. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So I'm not worried about impressing anybody as far as knowledge. But yeah, I do try and have good knowledge. If you carry 9 millimeter, I and barbecue will talk loads of shit. I mean, I guess the shit's, I guess the shit talking can start because it's in the other end of the house. But I've been carrying my high power a little bit. That's actually why it's got to go back to FN because the fancy, expensive FN high power that's supposed to be bomb proof, is rusting through its fancy high tech finish that's supposed to be top of the line. But I've been carrying that. But again, that's a 17 round mag, so I figured that's got to be enough. I don't know. It's a pretty safe area out here. But yeah, that's okay. I'm not a huge I like 9 millimeter for the fact that I call 10 millimeter the best, most powerful, the most powerful semi-automatic cartridge that is widely available. Meaning, there's more powerful semi-automatic cartridges, of course, but 10 millimeter is your best hope of getting something that you're going to be able to get ammo for, probably, a gun for, probably, a holster for, probably, and has more energy than the other counterparts. So 9 millimeter I kind of describe as being it. There's a reason everyone uses it. Is it the best? Of course not. There's more powerful. There's more flat shooting. There's more accurate. There's always going to be a better round than 9 millimeter, but 9 millimeter is a kind of middle ground trade off for, you know, the recoil isn't super excessive. Most people can handle it in a standard gun. There's a wide variety of guns for it. There's a wide variety of holsters for those guns. There's a wide variety of ammunitions to get. The price is pretty decent compared to a lot of other things. So 9mm at the end of the day, yes, I love making fun of it because, you know, I mean, it's 9mm, but at the end of the day, it's the right choice for a lot of people that don't want to go crazy like me and carry a 29-3 4-inch. Yeah, I like so the 2022 high power, like it's so many people talk trash about that thing. Like I can't tell you how many people, like, you go on the internet and like you just constantly get like, you know, oh, it's junk. They destroyed the John Moses Browning legacy, all this and whatever. And it's like, it's really interesting because I mean, one, FN people keep, it's funny because people keep calling it the Browning high power, and then, you know, when they say FN, oh, FN did this, FN owns Browning. Like I literally googled that because I didn't know that, and I learned that FN owns Browning. So like when Browning stopped producing the high power, it was basically FN stopped producing the high power, and then FN, who has produced the high power the whole time anyway, brought over the design and said, all right, let's update this, let's make it more modern, and let's put out a new gun. So I really like the new design. I think it's, I mean, it kind of brings it into being a full-size duty gun. Like, I know some of the charm of the original high power was it's a little bit thinner, it's a little bit smaller, you know, it's not this big, heavy chunk, but, you know, if you're already going to carry a full-size duty pistol, it's not a bad option. 9mm, the Fanta of calibers. Yeah, it's I don't know. It is what it is. Like, is it amazing? No, but like one of the things I will say, one of the things I really like about 9mm versus 10 is you can find a case of it for a decent cost, and you can actually go shoot it a lot. Like, you can take it out to the range and you can dump a few hundred rounds, which, you know, I haven't done in a couple of years, ever since, like, it was pre-COVID when I was taking, like, I'd go get the 100-round boxes at Walmart and blow through one of them in a week. And it's not crazy expensive like 10mm or something else. How are you, Effin? How are you, Miss Mom Agenda? I don't know. What? Okay, let's reread that. Maybe I'm a little slow. How are you, and Enfin, and is Enfin a person in here? I am gonna. All right, congratulations, Woods. You are I don't know, something moderator, a managing moderator. I don't know. All right, how? I don't know. I don't know, Arabian RJ. How? I'm doing good. If you're asking, how am I doing good? I don't know. Yes, hello, hello. How you doing? What was I talking about before? I was trying to figure out what that was, and if it was something like, I'm very liberal on like leaving comments, because it's one of those things where it's like, you know, but like some of them it's like, yeah, you gotta go. Like I've left up, like, it's funny because like I remember this one channel, and they don't exist anymore because they were, quote, getting out of it because they, you know, they were going on about people in there. I think it was the, I don't know how else to describe him. I think it was the red-headed guy from TFB or something. And that's a really good channel. I think they put out a lot of good information. I mean, you know, it's mostly like they're getting stuff sent and they test it, but like I think it's an interesting channel to watch. Especially their shotgun burn downs are kind of interesting. But I think it was one of the people that was on there, and he was like, I think he went out on his own, and he started a channel, and he was basically saying, I'm shutting it down because people in the comment section are getting nasty back and forth. They're fighting and oh, they're being mean to each other, and it was a whole big thing. And I'm just like, and I mean, people have had flat out, drag out, knockout back and forths in my comment section for years. Like, I mean, leave it be. So I'm like pretty liberal on like leaving comments, but like some of the stuff, like I won't say some of the phrases on here because some of them are pretty nasty, but like it's been some interesting comments where I'm just like, yeah, no, like it's like Beretta. I like Beretta. I have their A300 shotgun that I really like. Nice semi-automatic, and I have a 92 FS that's pretty nice. And I'm really debating their PX4 Storm because it's ugly as hell, but in like some of the videos I've been watching, people talk about, I think it's got this weird like rotating barrel system or whatever, and it's supposed to be really soft shooting. And something I've noticed with polymer frame guns is it's something to get used to, and this sounds silly because I'm used to shooting 44 Magnum, but because a lot of the weight is kind of like on top, where like normally like a steel frame like 44, everything's a little balanced because it's all steel. With this thing, the weight's up top, so it kind of like it's a weird like recoil motion for someone that like is used to shooting steel frame guns and revolvers. So something a little more flat shooting, I'm intrigued in. Plus, it's also hammer fired, which again, as someone that shoots a lot of revolvers, I know a lot of people shun away from the double action trigger. I honestly don't mind it. Like I know it's not a fad anymore, but I don't mind a double single action, and I really like the added safety of just that, not needing any other safeties because you've got that first long double action pull. Hello, I'm terrible with names. I'm sure I'm saying that like the weirdest way possible. It's just a simple name, so I apologize. But hello, how you doing? 10 millimeter is the best millimeter. Actually, the funny thing is, one of the people that was the reason 10 millimeter exists, it's up there. That's in my background. That's an old Fighting Handguns by Jeff Cooper, which was a whopping, 75 cents. And I don't know if it doesn't have a year on it, but that was pretty cool. So 10 millimeter is pretty awesome. But yeah, I'm really thinking of going Beretta. The only negative thing I got to say about Beretta is their customer service, and I've heard this several times because I'm in a couple Beretta groups. Their customer service is a bit entitled, I'll say. A bit like, I don't know. Should be called the CM. I actually called them, and I don't have my shotguns on the other end of the hounds. But basically, so the thing, and I said this in my review, the A300 Patrol, there's a tube on the end of there's a tube for the shells to go in like the barrel, and there's a clamp that clamps onto the barrel, and it slides around a lot because there's really nothing but friction holding it there. And what happened was Beretta, like literally less than a month after I bought mine, I saw on the shelves this new version that had like a notch in the bottom of the tube so that like as the clamp, this is like a dumb thing, but I don't have the gun with me, it stayed in place. So literally all it is a plastic sleeve that goes over the magazine tube, right? So I call it Beretta and I'm like, hey, you know what? Like, this is a brand new gun. It's a known issue that this clamp on the front of the tube, or on the front of the gun with the tube and everything, it's junk. You can't mount anything to it because it slides around. It's an M-LOK point, it's got QD cup, and it's useless, right? Is there any way to get this new plastic piece? Not an expensive part, I'm not asking for anything crazy, just this tube. Nope, wouldn't do it. And I said, well, okay, well, it's defective. Like, I can't use the front mount that you basically sent this gun with because it slides around. Oh, well, even if we sent you a new one, it would be the old design. So I kind of was a little bit annoyed by that, and I've heard I've heard, and yes, I was basically asking them to, send me a part, but I was asking them to send me a pretty basic, pretty cheap part that they clearly deemed defective. And this is kind of what I said to them was, you guys clearly deemed this defective because you quietly replaced it with a different part, but they wouldn't do anything about it. So, it just kind of is what it was. But I've heard several things that people have like contacted Beretta customer service, and they're a bit snobby about like sending anything out. Hello, David. How you doing? Customer service sucks with all companies not named Mossmer or High Point. I can kind of agree with that. Here's what I've noticed. I think COVID kind of changed the world. I keep hearing the phrase quiet quitting, and what quiet quitting is, and I'm explaining this because I didn't quite understand it in the beginning, is basically go in, do the requirement of the job, and go home. And I'm not even against that because, hey, you know what? I worked for a grocery store for a long time, and they don't give a damn. But here's what's happening: is the companies don't care, the customer service agents don't care. They do the minimal effort. They're not going to go above and beyond. And I've caught a lot of companies in lies a lot lately, and it really kind of is a shame because I think why in recent years I've heard a lot more issues with QC. Even good companies like Ruger, and I'm trying to think the other one. There was a couple others that like good companies like Ruger. I have a bunch of Rugers. I really think they're a nice company, but I've heard lately that they've had a lot of more issues because I think that people are going in, they're doing the job to the minimum standard that they have to do it to, and they're going home. And that's a shame because at the end of the day, again, you can't blame somebody that's just a number on a payroll, but the customer is who suffers. When someone's not passionate about what they're building, the customer suffers and you end up getting a problem you have to deal with. So it really is a shame. But yeah, I think at this point, customer service changed because I think a lot of people, like COVID, a lot of people got out of their jobs. A lot of people started working from home. That is something I've noticed is the customer service. Um, people really, and who can blame you for wanting to work at home? But I remember I called Kimber during COVID, right? And there was an issue with Kimber, and it was either Kimber or Cole. I remember it was something anyway. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And I remember the woman was like complaining because like, oh, they make us go into the office 1 day a week and it's terrible. And she was complaining about this. And again, I worked at the grocery store throughout COVID, and I'm like, yeah, that really sucks. I've been going in every single day, during the whole thing, and I have people basically, I'd be stocking the shelves, kneeled down stocking, and you'd have someone stand over you and reach over you, basically breathing down on you. So it was kind of a boo-hoo moment where it's like, oh, I'm so sorry you have to go into the office 1 day a week. I'd love nothing more than to stock shelves from home, but that's not how it works. SIG customer service is awesome to me, but I am a Legion member. Yeah, I've actually, the crazy thing is we don't have a whole lot of SIGs. My wife has a little SIG P238, and it never had any issues, so never really had to contact SIG. But I've heard good things about SIG. Customer service people at gun companies are not gun people. Yes, that is definitely true. Where's the? Okay, the dogs left me. So that's kind of the thing, and that was kind of the argument I was having with, I forget who it was. Oh, the whole thing with VZ, which is like a 20-minute video of just absolute shit show. And like when I was talking to the people, you could tell that like when I was talking about the issue with my Smith and Wesson, they didn't really know what the hell I was talking about. Like the guy even flat out finally said like, "Oh, I don't really know anything about revolvers," and I want to be like, look, I'm not expecting you to be an expert, but like literally your company makes like for just about every major revolver brand makes a lot of grips. Like I would think you guys would have a little bit of knowledge. But yeah, they're not gun people. And that's kind of what everybody knows I drag Smith & Wesson any chance I get, but something I found really interesting was when you start watching some of other people's videos on Smith and Wesson, like the one person I think they do, it was something where maybe they do plating or some other service for a different company, you know, because imagine they have all these big, you know, tubs for plating different stuff and coating different stuff, so it makes sense that maybe they're, you know, doing other jobs for everybody. And the one guy said, you know, I walked in there and like it was people that didn't give a damn. Like it was people that didn't care and, you know, they're not, you always think the people that are going to work for these gun companies are going to be, you know, the ultimate, you know, I'm into guns, oh yeah, I love this, you know, but like they're not. Like it's, I think it's a lot of people that just ended up getting a job somewhere. So you're right, they're not gun people. No, the product doesn't matter to them, and that's, so I had an interesting conversation with Walther today. So I'll tell this story. Um, I did a short, and I was talking about my P99 magazines and how I took the gun out. I was, you know, debating. I'm debating carrying it, you know, because it's a nice little gun, and you know, I shoot it all right. And as I was wiping down the magazines, I started noticing this brown coming off of it, and there's no rust on them. Like they're spotless, not a speck of rust. And I'm like, okay, what's this brown coming off of them? And you know, I start googling, and I couldn't really get a lot of information. So you literally didn't clean. You literally didn't clean. I know I haven't cleaned anything. That's the thing. I get talking, and then I get nothing done. Um, don't tell my boss that. um, so anyway, I'm like, you know, being like, what the hell? This like brown rust colored stuff is coming off of the mags, and it's only showing up on like the cloths and everything. Like all I'm doing is using Ballistol and some patches. I'm just wiping them off. It got to the point where I'm like, I'm wasting all my patches. I got paper towels and I started wiping them off, right? So I call Walther, and I called them yesterday, and I don't know if their phone system went weird, but it call disconnected halfway through, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I've shot this gun twice. It's lived in this safe with a goldenrod, and you know they got wiped down the last time I shot it, and I'm getting all this brown. There's no pitting, there's no rusting. What's the deal, right? And the first response I get is basically them saying like, "Oh well, you know that can be surface rust. It happens sometimes, you know, just from sitting, and you know it's whatever." And I'm like, "But there is no surface rust on these mags. Like, you know, they're not. I don't use them for anything. Like it's literally sat in its little check your home's humidity level. So yeah, I've got a. It's actually very dry out here in Arizona, and plus this safe has a goldenrod, which I'm told by people in the area I don't even need, but I keep it on and in there just because. But so what it ended up being was, so I send them all these pictures, and I send them pictures. You know, they want pictures of the mag, they want pictures of. Um, Everything. So I literally root through my trash to show them all these like, and I might do a video on it, but it's not that interesting, so I don't know if I will. You know, of all this. So and that's like, oh, it's just patina. It forms on the mags after a while. It's patina, and I'm like, so I call them back, right? Because what happens is, I send them the emails. I'm waiting for them to get the email and tell me what it is. The line goes dead, and then like I couldn't get them back. I guess they had a phone issue for that day, and by the time it was anything, they were already closed. So I call back tomorrow, and I'm like, all right. Or I call back today, and I'm like, well, what's the deal? I got your response email saying that this is just a patina. I'm like, why are these magazines that are supposedly, you know, supposedly just a blued magazine? Why is this magazine forming a patina? That, you know, I literally spent 45 minutes like just going over them with an oiled towel or something to get all this stuff off, and it's still coming off. And they're like, oh, well, you know, it's just normal. They all do that. And I said to them, like, so here's the deal. You're saying that blued finishes patina naturally, and that, you know, this brown stuff just comes off naturally. And I said, I'm like, okay, so I've got a there we go. I got a 100-year-old Steyr Hahn. I've got a Model 11 from 1910. I've got a Lee Enfield built during wartime production that's from the 40s. I've got all these other blued guns that, you know, older, whatever, varying degrees of blued finish. and I wipe them all down, and I don't get this brown stuff off of them. So I'm like, something's weird here. Good. If it is dry there, then your cooling system is pouring in moisture. Yeah, that's why. So this room, like I said, the safe shut for the most part with golden rods. But yeah, I do worry about moisture in the air. So anyway, I'm saying this to them, and they basically, the response was, oh well, I don't know what metallurgy, those guns could be, or what the bluing process, but our process, there's this brown thing, there's this brown finish, there's shit that comes off of them. And then they're like, oh, well, you could send them in to us, and we could clean them off for you. And I'm like, well, I can clean them off. I don't need someone to clean it off. And I said, well, hey, because then they mentioned that basically they stopped using this blue finish on their mags, and they went to their melanite coating or whatever, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. So does that mean that the blued finish was defective and you switched to the melanite? I'm like, I can send these mags in, you can look at them, and I'd love to get the new melanite coated mags if they're not going to do this. And it's, oh no, well, you have a 30-day warranty on the mags, and that's long over. And these he kept saying older mags, like acting like these magazines were, like 20 years old. And I'm like, they're 6 years old. So, and they've not really been used. Goldenrod is finding, hang on. They are no longer using stainless steel. Yeah, so they are carbon steel mags. That was what they basically explained to me, was it was a carbon steel mag that they put a blued finish on, right? So where was I in the story? Sorry, we went back and forth, so it's tough to keep it straight. So anyway, I said to him, like, what's the deal? And of course they won't replace them. So they basically said, well, your warranty's long up and all that. I'm like, well, fine, but this seems defective. And I said, I'm like, the only other instance I've heard of this brown stuff coming off of a blued finish when there's no rust is if it's a defective finish, like how Remington was having issues with their barrels. Because I was literally talking to someone that said I had the exact same issue on a Remington shotgun, where every time I'd wipe down the barrel, it would come up brown. And, it ended up just I guess there was this whole big thing where their barrels were, the bluing or whatever finish they put on the barrels was bad. So that's why I said to them, like, they're not defective, it's just patina. And they couldn't answer me as to why only their magazines kept forming this patina, right? But, like, no one could give me, first it was, oh, we'll clean it off, and then it's, oh, this, and then literally, after I, like, got off the phone with the guy, because I'm like, well, this is a waste, leave them out of the safe, the mags. What do you mean leave them out of the safe? Right now, they sit in their little, and I got the case around here somewhere. So literally the guy sent me an email, right, after I got off the phone with him, with a little video, and he's like, our bluing process, the finish can oxidize after the fact, and, it's perfectly normal, and it's not an issue. They are not defective. Because I basically said, I'm like, is it the official statement of Walther that, your mags with a blued finish are going to, get this, quote, patina that is going to be brown and is going to come off of them. Because Mossberg is better than... you know what? Honestly, I like Remington, even though it got bought out and all that. But yeah, I like a Mossberg over a Remington any day. Mainly because the biggest thing for me is the safety position. I prefer the Tang safety over the crossbow. So, according to Walther, and that's, I guess, the end of the rambly long story, is they sent me a video where they had, like, a bunch of mags sat on a table, and he took some oil, and he started wiping them and showing me that this brown finish is coming off. It's not rust, it's, quote, patina. And I did some Googling, and apparently there's this thing, and here's a theory, and again, this is a theory, this isn't, I don't know this, I could be completely wrong, but apparently after a fresh blue, a lot of companies, I think they leave them in like an oil bath or something that's supposed to like remove the residual, like, bluing effect off. But I'm wondering if Walther doesn't go to that trouble with their magazines, if like they just kind of give them a clean and then they go out. and that's kind of the residual like finish that's oxidizing, if that makes sense. So it's apparently it's not rust. Like if I do a video, I have to go find the mags. Um, like, hang on, let me actually. You know what? Stick around. I'll go get one of the mags and I'll show you. All right, what'd I miss? All your patch notes, stickers. Oh yeah, yeah. Allen Anchor is totally awesome. Um, so here is the mag. I spent 45 minutes. Like I literally was watching a movie, and I realized because I just kept like grabbing patches and oiling them and wiping. 45 minutes of scrubbing this brown stuff off. I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but there is not a speck of rust of anything. Like this is basically a brand new magazine. So like this is what I was trying to say, you know, because at first they were basically saying, oh yeah, it was annoying because I was doing it for like 45 minutes and I'm just sitting there scrubbing and like I had like a pile of these brown patches from wiping this all off, and that's kind of what I was arguing with Walther, and I'm like, you know, it shouldn't take 45 minutes to, you know, because at one point they tried to say, oh, it's just old oil then. Like, you know, if you oiled them before you put them away, then it must just be old oil. I'm like, it doesn't take 45 minutes to wipe off some old oil. Because I literally just took apart my 29-3 to, you know, clean out the old oil and everything. And then I think that's what was down in the screw holes, because I was asking people because I was trying to figure out, it was like gunky and whatever down in the screw holes. And I at first thought it was rust, and I'm hoping it was just old oil. But I said to him, like, it doesn't take 45 minutes to wipe that off. But this is kind of what I showed him, and this is I can show you guys. There's no rust. Like, if I was 45 minutes of scrubbing rust off of this mag would be pitted, it'd be nasty, it would be, you know, there'd be a bunch of exposed metal. So the official statement of Walther is basically that all that brown was an oxidized patina. That is normal, that all of their mags do that, the blued ones do that because of the finish they use. And when I asked them, well, why does none of my other blued guns, you know, why am I not scrubbing off this brown stuff all the time? Well, they don't know what the metallurgy is, and, you know, just so happens that their finish on the metal they use for their mags does that. So it's kind of a BS answer, but that's the answer they gave me, is basically that, you know, if I wipe down my mags every once in a while, I'm gonna get a bunch of brown whatever. So, but that's what I think. Is I wonder if they don't do a bunch of work after the bluing process, because literally when you look it up, like, you know, a brown substance after bluing, they talk about like a basically oxidation. That's like, you know, kind of like a, I guess like a, I don't know, like a residue from the bluing process. So I wonder if that's part of what it is. But I don't know. Like, I've only shot the gun twice in the 6 years I've owned it. So now that I've really scrubbed that brown stuff off, it'll be interesting to see if it happens again. But again, I don't see any rust, and that's the one thing. The one guy tried to act like, oh well, you know, fingerprints and stuff, you know, could rust, and I'm like, dude, there's nothing on here. Like this is, again, this is a brand new mag. Like there's there's not even like marks on it from where it's been sliding in and out of the gun. So that's an interesting, boring story about my conversation with Walther and how apparently Walther mags have a brown residue when you clean them. So take it what you will. I still like Walther, but I think if I end up carrying my P99, I might invest some of their newer melanite coated magazines. Check out electrotrolysis. That may be the problem. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I am not an expert in bluing. I understand a little bit about it, because they try to like mansplain the whole, well, rusting is bluing is a forced rusting, and it's like I get all that, but like, again, I point back to the 100-year-old gun that I can wipe down, and I don't get this brown residue. So again, kind of a weird story, but yeah, exactly, reeks of effort. So, but yeah, that's the story on my P99. But here I'll show you what's been going on. So that is Elmer sitting in my office chair on a duffel bag of magazines, which I actually referenced to Walther. I said, I got a duffel bag of magazines, and I managed to be able to clean them and they don't get rusty. But that's Elmer the cat, who is trying to get onto the workbench. Well, not right now, but he usually does. Right now he's just relaxing. But anyway, as far as cleaning, here, I'll pan down. Again, this office is a mess, but there is Lewis. He's relaxing. Actually, where I'm cleaning up, I've got to put everything away. So I guess I'll actually maybe do some of that now that I told my long, not exciting story about Walther. Which again, it's a shame because while their customer service, and this was kind of the takeaway from them explaining it to me, was their story changed like 5 different times about what it actually was. Because first they said, rust, then they said patina, then they said that it was, natural. So I guess the statement of like the people working there aren't gun people, it's like, yeah, like if they had just started out by saying, oh, it's like leftover oxidation from the bluing finish or from the bluing process, I would have been like, oh, okay, I get it, no big deal. You know what? I'll wipe them off and consider it good. But rather than just kind of saying that, it was, like kind of a back and forth. What are you getting up there? Stay out of my ammo cans. Still got some of this stuff. That's what I was shooting. So I had an interesting experience where I don't know if I did a video, but my hand, I don't want to show too close because YouTube might consider it graphic. What's up, folks? Oh, hey, Hemi. I was shooting some 357 out of my Little King Cobra, and I learned the hard way that years ago when I had them in a little 638, I got some grip tape from like an Ace Hardware or something, and I put it on, and it's really great. Like if you have a revolver and you want to get better grip on it, a piece of tape, grip tape on the back strap, really helpful, right? Like a lot of people do it, and I highly recommend. It's a very cheap way of if you don't have a covered back strap, of getting a little more control on the gun. And I loved it, right? Same piece on for years, and I wanted to do the same thing with my Little King Cobra because, long story short, I had VC grips on that I took off because, well, the 23-minute video explains why I took them off. But what ended up happening was I put back on, I had an original set of Detective Special grips and a grip adapter that I dyed green, and the back strap is exposed. So with 357, the gun is kind of a bit of a beast. Like it slides around in your hand no matter how hard you hold on to it. So I was shooting this stuff, right, and one cylinder of that, and it tore up my hand pretty good. So I actually am waiting. I have some of that Talon grip stuff on the way. I was hoping to find something I could just go buy at Wally World, but I ended up just springing for the fancy stuff. But I have not seen, this is probably one of the last boxes I have, for those that remember when you could go to Wally World and grab this stuff. That was a good time. I really miss, because this stuff was cheap, and honestly, it worked pretty good. Like I've never had a complaint about the brown and green box Perfecta stuff. So it's a shame that I'm almost out of this stuff. But I got to start reloading 357 mag. That's on the list of things to do. But I'm lazy and haven't set up the dies yet. But I'm just putting away some of that. And then what I do is I have my little range case down here that, show range case plus Lou. My little range case with my custom Binford logos on it that I thought of a cool idea. But I'm putting everything back away in that. Because I keep my little ammo bags in here. Oh, I forgot there's a bunch of brass in here. Lulu, we gotta move out the brass. You wanna help me scoop out the brass? But, upmark bags. Gotta put them away. Oh, here, put them in here. We've had my conversation about buying them at Walmart. Oh yeah, I've gotten pretty good at getting them to the counter, and I think it kind of. Oh, hello. Here. Oh, you're a good boy. You a good boy? You a good boy? Yeah, he's an alright boy. He's a good boy. So, I've gotten pretty good at figuring out how to get them to go to the counter, because I think what it was I think they finally realized that they kept giving me gift cards. Like, basically, if it took longer than like 15, 20 minutes, I started calling. What I'd end up doing is calling the corporate office and being like, well, I'm standing in the store. I've been here for 20 minutes. I'm, card in hand, ready to, make a transaction. And, you're basically losing money, and I basically explained that. And, you'd explain that to the corporate and they'd be like, yep, nope, that's unacceptable. Same old bullshit they're supposed to read off the dry erase board. And then I'd get a call from the store manager. Oh yes, we value your whatever. We're really working to make that better. The usual thing. They're not going to change, because to this day they haven't. But then it would be, oh, we'd like to offer you a gift card. I'm like, cool. So that incentivized me to, anytime I had to sit and wait for more than 15 minutes, called right in and be like, well, I'm standing here waiting. And I'd record the time. I'd take, make sure to record the time, and I'm like, you can go watch your cameras and see that I stood by your counter, and I asked several employees that walked by, for assistance, and they all said they were going to get somebody. And, help never end up coming, or at least it would take a long time. And they finally, I think at the fifth gift card, they realized, oh, we've been giving this same person a lot of gift cards. And then they really tried to work on having someone get there when I needed help. I've used the intercom once or twice. I don't know if they changed the system, because the last time I tried it, I couldn't get it to work. You revolver guys are making me think about selling my 365 and going back to a revolver. Look, at the end of the day, I would definitely recommend, what is it? I would get an older J-frame, like an older pre-lock J-frame, they're really nice. Or, honestly, I like the little LCR, like four in the pocket. Like, if you're looking for not in the pocket, you've got, the SP101 is a good option. The, older, let me reread going back to it. Yeah, if you're not going in the pocket, an older K-frame is good. SP101, LCR, J-frame, again, older J-frame. The new Colt King Cobra. I have the 3-inch and I really like it, but I've really been debating a 2-inch carry. I forget what they call it, the King Cobra carrier. But literally All it is a King Cobra that they bobbed the hammer. A 2-inch King Cobra they bobbed the hammer, and I've been debating getting them, but I can't justify the exact same gun with an inch less barrel and a bobbed hammer. But there's a lot of good options out there, and they're actually pretty easy to conceal. Like, I really prefer a revolver for carry because it's easier to conceal, because especially if you have a smaller grip, like the ammunition is not stored in the butt of the gun, so you don't need that big grip for capacity because it's not in the butt of the gun. Yeah, SP101 is something that I've just never tracked down one. Like, I've seen them pop up, but it's just one of those things where it's like, I want one, but I've just never been like, you know what, I'm buying one today. My wife has the 357 LCR, which we love, and my old man had multiple LCRs and 327. Way too poor for a Colt. Yeah, Colts are not cheap, and it's a shame because until recently, I know, and I think they're still having the issue with the rear sight. I actually ditched my King Cobra in 22, or well, actually it was my wife, so she got rid of it, because the rear sight was being weird. I meant to do a video saying, like, because when I originally reviewed it, it wasn't really happening, and I loved it. It was very nice, but it started happening, and I just never got around to doing an update video saying, hey, you know what? The rear side is still kind of a problem. But yeah, I've looked into the 327 a couple times, and I literally was looking at an LCR and 327 Magnum until I realized that it was basically the steel version of the gun, because I know that they do like the LCR and 38 Special, that's like a lighter weight for the pocket, and they do the LCR with a steel frame. And I was like, oh, I'd love it if it was the lighter, like 38 Special, like aluminum frame, the lighter version, because then it would be something you'd have a 6-shot 327 in the pocket. But for me, the fact that you can get a steel frame 357, if you're not gonna be able to put it in the pocket, I'd rather the 357. But I do like the idea of 327 Magnum. I keep listening to older men complaining about the recoil on lightweight revolvers. I don't see a problem with them. So I had the 329 PD, which according to several people kicks harder than a 500 Magnum. I've never shot a 500 Magnum, but I'll take their word for it. It was interesting. That gun became shootable because of the Hogue Tamer grip, which was a grip that Smith offered from the factory on a lot of their 500 Magnum guns. And it's basically got some fancy absorbathane or something crazy in the back strap that makes it very manageable. But I got rid of it, and it's a longer story. But yeah, some of those lightweight guns, the revolvers, are pretty nasty because it's a very sharp recoil. Like, it's not, the weight's not there to soak up the energy, so it's a very sharp recoil. But yeah, with the right grips, it's not terrible. Especially with lighter Magnums, and that's what I really used with it, was like a lighter Magnum. Nerve damage. Yeah, I think I'm getting some arthritis and stuff in my hands as I get older, because especially in the cold, like, my hands get really bad. But yeah, I noticed that, like, wood grips with something that, like my Model 69 that I had with the wood grips, I ended up taking the wood grips off because it was just too much. Those new red dot ready Taurus revolvers are quite intriguing to me. I love the idea of a red dot. So yeah, I am really back and forth on a Taurus. I hear good stuff, I hear bad stuff, and I really like the idea of something that's ready from the factory with a red dot, because I've never carried a gun with a red dot, and I really want to try it, and I'd love to try a revolver because that's what I shoot best. But I just don't know on the Taurus, because I'm sure I'm sure they're fine, and a lot of people really seem to like them, but I just haven't, like, pulled the trigger on one yet. Plus, they're hard to find. I've been kind of debating like a 22 long rifle or a 22 Magnum snub nose, right? Just for something to have, and maybe even carry 22 Magnum, because high capacity, like 8-shot 22 Magnum isn't the worst thing in the world. But I couldn't find any. Like, they were sold out everywhere, and I think that's because it's not the crazy price of a Colt or a Smith or even a Ruger. I think that what makes them hard to find because everybody sucks them up because especially out here in Arizona, people like a cheaper gun. Like I find that the lower cost stuff really goes, and some of the shops have some basically almost exclusively lower priced, more budget friendly minded stuff. But yeah, the red dot ready stuff, I'd love to see Colt do it. I'd love to see some other companies do it. My 29 barrel and wood grips after about 2 cylinders. Yeah, so I don't know if it's I don't know if it's a 29. I don't know what dash it is. But and I'm gonna do this while I'm gonna talk while you know what? Let me microphone up. So I can talk and do this at the same time because I don't know how well it's picking me up, and I don't want you guys to have to listen to the fan. Tell me if this works. Okay, can you guys still hear me? Because I've never tried this, adding this mid video. So let me know if you guys can still hear me or if you can't hear me, and I'll continue. Right now, okay, sounds good. Okay, cool. So something I noticed, and I don't know what model your 29 is, 8-inch barrel. I don't know if it's the newest model, but especially the new models, right? Like the Dash 10. Like I got rid of my 29 Dash 10, but Altamont is making all the grips, and it's a nice looking grip, but it's very thin. And because it's very thin, the recoil is very sharp. So I really like the look of wood grips, but I found that unfortunately, wood grips, as beautiful as they are, you really got to shop around for that right fitting grip for it not to be a very bad recoil multiplier, I'll say. Like compared to rubber, I mean, there's no give because it's wood, and it's usually slicker than rubber. So I've noticed, and this is something I learned with my 329, is the felt recoil, right? It's as much of the gun recoiling, like the action of the gun coming up, as it is the gun moving in your hand. So with rubber, it kind of grabs your hand a little bit better. So that's part of what helps the recoil feel better with rubber is the fact that it's not moving in your hand. You're not getting the gun slamming into your hand. It's kind of, it's the recoil is being able to be basically passed through you in the sense that you're holding onto the gun's not moving in your hand, so you're able to use your arms and stuff more to handle the recoil. So I think that's what makes rubber really nice. But yeah, those factory, if it's an Altamont wood grip, they are not like they're pretty to look at, but I did not like them on the gun because they're way too thin. So that's kind of what I realized is when you have like the thinner wood grips and the gun moves in your hand more, like it doesn't matter how hard you're holding on to it, it makes it worse because now you're getting motion in your hand and it's slamming into your hand. No, it's an older model. The problem with the 29s is they're surprisingly lightweight compared to the newer pistols in the same caliber. Example, mine made 6 pounds, like 6 pounds. Oh, hey, G Webs. Um, this is me cleaning up my office and working. Yeah, so that's actually the crazy thing about the 29s is yeah, like compared to even the Anaconda, because I looked at the new Anaconda and it's heavy. Like compared to the Anaconda and even the Ruger examples, the 29 is a fairly light gun, and I mean it's great for carry, but for recoil, yeah, like I've shot an 8-inch Anaconda and I was a little bit worried because the person that handed it to me had like barn burner rounds, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna hurt, and but I'll give it a shot, and it was surprisingly light compared to a 29 because of the extra weight. What with more info on the helmets in the back? So anybody that's watched my videos, that is the background, and then the helmets in the back are I get so much shit because basically I do it's like my background, my decision on what I put in it. But the helmets are the two. I have Boba Fett and Darth Vader Black Series helmets that I hung up
and suspended on the wall, so they're in my background. But they're pretty cool, and I think they look good and add a little extra touch because again, I get it's funny. I get people, oh, the dolls, like especially if someone doesn't like my opinion of something in a video, they'll be like, oh, well, you got a bunch of dolls you're playing with. It's like my background. You know what? I can put in it what I want. Like nobody, I don't have to be tactical and crazy and everything else. You know, it's so. But hello, sir. How you doing, bearded and tattooed guy? They are for wearing. Yes, you can wear them, although something I've noticed is one, my glasses don't fit under them, so that makes it tough. And two, my head is shaped weird, so when I put on that one, the eye holes and everything, or not holes, but like visor doesn't really line up. So it's kind of, you know, I put them on every once in a while for a picture or a video, and that's about it. Uh, so as far as getting pooped on, here's what I've learned about the internet. If you upset someone with your opinion, they will look for the easiest thing to make fun of. Like, I've literally had people make fun of me for anything and everything. Like people give me hell because like, oh, you need a new barber. And like, okay, here's the reality with my hair is like if I don't gel it or something, it just kind of looks like this and it's whatever. And I don't care because I'm not, you know, I'm not here to impress anybody, but they will basically find the simplest thing to make fun of you for, and then they'll go with it. And I don't care because you know what I mean. You know, uh, I have some kind of stormtrooper helmet. Oh yeah, I think I've seen them where it changes your voice. I don't have one of them, but yeah, they're pretty neat. Not even a Star Wars gun. I think they're cool and look good. Well, thank you, Hemi. Yeah, I mean it. Like I said, it's crazy, and I was talking about that a little while ago about as far as deleting comments, and I pretty much like I think in the history of the channel I've probably deleted like 10 comments in normal videos that were just like no, we're like not doing this. But like it's crazy like what people, you know, they'll just look for like something to say and it's like, whatever. But yeah, it's really entertaining like some of the stuff they come up with. But yeah, I've had people make fun of me for that. It's always funny. Like I'm trying to think some of the other stuff. Oh, the little model kits and stuff, which I don't know how well you can see, but they're just like little model kits I have up there. You know, some cool stuff. The GT40 and then the Batmobile and then the Green Hornet. You know, just interesting stuff, like stuff I found. You know, like this office is basically like where I film stuff. It's where I got my reloading press. You know, it's basically like a man cave. So it's like I'm gonna do it the way I want. Like, for instance, I've got, you know, I'm pretty sure that's a '66 Mustang grill that we have up there, and it matches the you know, decor, and it's just mounted up there. So it's whatever, you know. I literally found that I found that at a flea market in Pennsylvania, you know, sitting in the middle of a field. So let's very special. That's 10 millimeter. I'm trying to go through my and clean up because when I shoot revolvers, what I end up doing is I have my case here and I just kind of dump it in. So when I come home, I have to take it all out and put it all away. But I gotta get a bag or something to put this in. Hello, Lou. You a good boy, Lou? This isn't for you. This is just brass. How do you deal with stubborn primers on 10 millimeter? What do you mean by stubborn primers? Like coming out, going in? Like, I think that there's both. It's been a long time since I've reloaded 10 millimeter. Do you mean like, I think that, I think it's one of the calibers that there's big and small primers, like small pistol and large pistol. What do you mean by stubborn? Yes, we have Elmer. So I'll tell the long version of the story because, I mean, you know, why not? How to remove 10 millimeter primer? I've not really had an issue. So I have a Lee press and I have a universal decapping die. So I've not really had a whole lot of issue. I have had a couple times where the pin for the universal decapping die will get pushed up. I just kind of crank it down real hard and I just keep going at it, and I've not really had much issue. So I don't know if you're having issues with them sticking, but I've not really had terrible problem with that. But yeah, so what happened was I was driving home and I found this cat like literally laying in the middle of the road, just chilling, like laying by a manhole cover, and it was like 110 or whatever, like it was too hot for this cat, right? So I try and shush it away because it's laying in the road and I didn't want it to get hit or anything. And I believe press it to know me or die. Uh, so I like trying to shush this cat out of the road because it's dark out, it's nighttime, and I don't want this poor thing to get hit. So I end up, the cat will not move, right? Like the cat will not get out of the road. And I'm like, you're going to get hit because it was a black and white cat. And I finally it was funny. My sister was actually visiting. So she comes because I was like literally like 2 minutes from home. She comes up walking like down the street to like help me with this cat. Like the cat's following me at this point. Like it will not, like it won't get out of the road. It'll just like follow me. So we end up picking this cat up, bringing it home, giving it water, food, and everything, which it's like ecstatic for because you could tell it was actually out in the elements for quite a long time, like a couple months. And long story short, we put up some posts and we put up, some things like, "Hey, found this cat. Is this somebody's cat?" And nope, nobody says a word, right? All over Facebook and LinkedIn or whatever. My wife put up a couple posts saying, "Hey, this cat yours?" So we have this cat for a couple months, and the cat acclimates to the office. Usually came in here with me, and this cat was way better because it wasn't trying to jump all over everything. Um, and we take the cat to the vet to get the shots come up, and they actually found a chip, which we didn't know there was a chip. Which in hindsight, I guess we should have checked that. But we kept putting up these posts. We figured somebody would say something. So the vet was kind of weird about it, but long story short, the cat, goes back to a, thankful owner. So that was good. And it was kind of sad because, we had spent like 2 months or 3 months or whatever acclimating with this cat, getting it familiar with us and, familiar with the dogs, which is a big thing because Cooper, the black Boston Terrier that you've probably seen in some videos, um, he's not the best with other animals. Like he eventually acclimates, but it's tough. Um, so anyway, it was a little sad because the cat was gone, and my wife ends up surprising me with this cat who we named Elmer. I'll show, and he's now acclimated, and now we have a cat. So it's pretty cool, and he's, as you can see, he lives quite a tough life. Sleep in my chair. Um, on top of a bag of magazines. And then I'll pan down. Of course, it's a mess, but here is Lou. Yeah, he's working very hard. But let me, oh, come on. Why is this not, did this lock in? There we go. We can get to unlock. There we go. You're putting the tripod. So she surprised me with that, and now I have a cat named Elmer, named after Elmer Keith, in case that wasn't blatantly obvious. Take Take care. Catch you on the next one. See you, Hemi, if you haven't already left. Yeah. So he's he's very mellow a lot of times. Like he sleeps in the front room a lot. Something we've noticed with him. Oh, it's the dog that gets stressed out about other animals. The cat's fine with it. It's just he's very well. He's an orange cat. He likes to jump all over everything. And if I'm working in the one office, he likes to sit in my lap and then walk all over my keyboard. But yeah, Cooper's the one that gets stressed out, and he's a really good boy. He takes a long time to acclimate to other animals, and once he does, it's okay. But it can be a very tough, like, first couple hours, like even first day. Doug has masters, cats has Steph. Yeah, Yeah, the cat. So we've got him on an automatic feeder and an automatic water thing. And when they empty, he will knock them down or over, or you'll hear in the like 2 a.m. the twang of his little food dish because we give him a little wet food every once in a while, and he just sits there and looks at you like, "Well, you gonna fill it for me, bitch?" But yeah, Elmer is 100% in charge of everything, and I am his employee. So, and the dogs are just kind of his, his employees as well. But he's a good boy. Like here, let me show you. He's stirred a little bit, probably because I kept saying, but yeah, there's Elmer. Yes, orange cat energy for sure. He but he's a good boy, aren't you? Huh? All right, let me get back to. I don't want to. I was gonna pet him, but I got all this dust on me from all the brass I'm taking out of this case, so I can put everything else away. The office is a complete wreck right now. That's why I'm trying to clean it up. But I put all my little ammo bags. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate the $5, bearded and tattoo guy. Treats for the family. Yes, I'm going to give them some more treats. I've been getting the big Kirkland box of treats, and uh, they quite enjoy that. One of the things we did to train Lou, because Lou when we got him was a little bit older, and the sad reality of a lot of people when they have a litter of puppies that they're trying to like rehome is they don't. Yeah, you know what? You don't put as much effort into house training them because like, hey, you're just trying to move them. So he was a little bit older, so house training him was a little bit slower. Like he got it, but like it took a little minute. So we basically started the whole thing where, well, you get a treat. So now he gets a treat every time he goes out, and he has kind of figured that out in the sense that he wants to go outside all the time to get the treat. But yes, I very much appreciate the $5, and I will definitely give him some extra treats. But thank you very much. But putting these away, I love these little. I was so resistant on getting like little ammo bags because I'm like, oh, that's silly. But honestly, it takes up so much less space to be able to like have like I have like my they're little labeled bags. So what I do is I just keep dumping boxes of ammo into the bag, and then I can keep way more ammo in my bags and just pull them out as I need them for whatever I'm shooting that day. Love the Star Wars setup. Thank you. Yeah, humble man. This is well. Usually don't see all of this. This is a little bit behind the scenes, but this is usually where I stand when sometimes if I'm talking and doing a video. Woods, I'm a sucker for pets. LOL. My lab loves the things like chew toys and treats. Yeah, they Lou here is a big. He likes like we get him like the antlers because we've really been trying not to give him rawhide and everything because who knew? But I guess rawhide's actually really bad for dogs because I guess it's basically like leather or whatever. Um, but we've been giving him like antlers and stuff, and he is a huge fan of something to chew. Like when we get home, like he'll be all excited and he'll like come and give us, like he'll be following us around with his little treat in his mouth. So isn't that right? You're a good boy. Here, I'll show you. He's come to get some attention. Lulu, I gotta clean this up. Huh? I think I know what it is. You want to be fed, isn't it? Well, I'll feed you in a little bit. We'll do this a little bit more, and then I'll feed you. All right? Just putting away some stuff. What is this? Oh, this is golden bullets. I've actually got to do an update because I did a couple years ago. I talked about my new favorite ammo, and I think I may have actually done this video already, where I said that my new favorite ammo is the Remington Golden Bullet for 22, because I've actually got a couple guns that don't like the Federal Automatch, which was my old favorite 22. Yeah, so that's the crazy thing as far as like, oh, hello. Yep, yep, hello. Little Lou. Who's that girl boy? So that's the crazy thing I learned about a lot of like raw hides and rope toys is a lot of stuff's actually kind of bad for dogs. Like, and it's crazy because they always put on the toy, only let them have it supervised. And you learn why because all the stuff, the rope gets in them and it can get tangled in their digestive system, and that's real bad. And the raw hide can form like, I guess it basically like collects in their digestive system that can lead to issues and just like different things. And it's like, even some of the dog food, like they get, for the longest time we kept trying to find a good dog food that we liked, and we basically learned that a lot of them have a lot of filler in them, and it makes them poop quite a lot, like, because it's all filler. So it really makes it difficult to find like, okay, what's something they can chew that's not going to be bad for them. What toys can you get them that like the squeaky toys. They both love squeaky toys, but they rip it open and they eat the fluff, and then that's a problem. So it's a really shame the amount of toys toys and stuff out there for animals that aren't actually that good for them. Doug eats better than me. Yeah, so right now the dogs, they get raw meat, like raw beef and kale. And then sometimes they'll get like some, we have like a fish oil supplement and some other stuff. And we give them Greek yogurt and stuff. So yeah, they eat better, especially, my wife's out of town. So they're definitely eating better than me because I make a little frozen pizza for myself or something I can put together. And then they're getting raw beef and kale. So yeah, they're definitely eating better than I am. But oh, thank you. Yeah, he's my little Boston Terrier that some people joke that they think he's a Frenchie, but he's got the pointed ears of a Boston Terrier, and he's got, I think, some papers on him. I don't know. We never really cared about the purebred thing. It's just like, they're happy, they're healthy. I don't care if it's a mutt. They're good to me. Hey, my daughter can eat toys in about 10 minutes, even the hard chewer. Yeah, so we got like the Kong stuff. We've tried everything, and it didn't matter. They destroy all of it. Dogs to eat rice. So I think it is because we've given them some rice a couple times when one of them wasn't feeling well. So, and they've never had issues. What gun is a Boston Terrier? Let's see. Well, I'd say I'm gonna say a snub nosed 357 Smith and Wesson. Take your pick if you want to do a K frame or a J frame, but um, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying because they're full of energy and they're in a small little package. So I'm saying like a snubby 357 Magnum. Yeah, I've heard rice and pumpkin is what we usually like. If one of them is feeling upset, they'll get rice and pumpkin. That little dog has no papers. I can't fully trust him. Yeah, yeah. It was crazy because we were looking when we were debating getting a second dog, which you know how that goes. You think about it, and then the second you go see the dog, it turns into, well, we're bringing the dog home. There was someone trying to rehome. I think it was a 2-year-old female, and it was a Boston Terrier. And like, okay, yeah, you know what, like, 2 years old, okay, we're definitely interested. And the problem was, and it's sad because it always comes down to money. They wanted a crazy amount of money, and they're like, "Oh, it's papers and this." And it's like, look, you know what? You're trying to rehome this dog. They're 2 years old. The terrible twos, I think, also applies to dogs because they were both terrible at two. Um, but like, it's like, look, you're basically saying we can't keep the dog. It's this big problem. You want to rehome them, and we're looking to give a really good home to this dog, because we'd love to have her and have Cooper have a friend, which turns out Cooper didn't want a friend, which was kind of funny. um, but yeah, like, they were just going on like, oh, they've got papers, they're worth all this money. It's like, we're not gonna breed the dog. Like, we're just looking for to have a second Boston Terrier to give a good home to. So the papers thing, it gets kind of ridiculous when people get all crazy about that stuff, because it's like at the end of the day, like if the dog's happy and healthy, I don't care what it is. Like, you know what? The important thing is it's happy and healthy. Like, if it's got papers, great. That doesn't mean anything to me. A 22-inch Rough Rider. Yeah, you know what? Like, they're so full of energy. Like it's funny because I've done a couple of videos with them out in the yard, and like they're like nuts. Boston Equals 32H and are small but powerful. Yeah, yeah, they are. They're quite like especially when it comes to like toys. Like I've it's always a shame because I'll try and like play with especially Cooper, the larger black Boston Terrier. And what ends up happening is I find myself getting over it because I can't really play with him because his idea of playing is, oh, I want you to take the toy from me, but I am going to fight to the death to not give it to you. So it's like, okay, you know, you kind of get over it. One Ruger copied, but I gotta clean all this up. Got my targets here. Oh, this is all the targets I used. I finally broke down and I tried some of these splatter targets. They work pretty good. I think I think that was my King Cobra, probably at like 10 yards or so. That worked out pretty good. Not a bad group. I always try and bring my targets home and I usually write on it what it is. So if I do a video, I can reference targets for the review. But I think that might have been me trying out the P99. Not the best, but again, that grip was slipping around in my hand. Where are you shooting now? I went, I think yesterday, no, the day before I went. I went and did some shooting at the one indoor range here. That is probably the King Cobra. Nice little group. But I'm just putting the targets away. One thing I've learned is, especially because the ranges charge kind of a premium for targets, um, I try and always have like targets in my little kit because you can get them pretty cheap. One of my favorite ones, actually, and especially if you're like really just trying to hone in, is these little things because you can get these for like a couple bucks at Walmart, and it's like I think it's like a 50 pack. And like if you really want, you know, to be like, all right, like I'm gonna really like hone in and like try and do some precise shooting, like something like that. And I mean, hand for reference, like that's a small target. That's a nice little set that you could just rip off, stick on your thing, and send down range. So and it's cheap. So, but all it is just a little Daisy Red Ryder BB gun targets. But they're a nice little thing. I usually have a pack of them. Yes, I know. You want to be fed, don't you? All right, look. I will do it for another few minutes and then I'll feed you. Okay? Yeah, you're a good boy. But I'll feed you in a minute. You act like you're starving. This one is very food motivated. Woods. Oh, aren't you? You're very food motivated. Food? Like basically he when I get the food bowls, he starts like shaking because he knows it's food time and he's all excited. I'll feed you in a little bit. Huh? I'll feed you in a little bit. Yeah, I'll feed you. I don't want to. I've got dirty hands. I don't want to. I mean, he already needs a bath. All dogs, yes, all dogs. So the crazy thing is, Cooper, the first one we had, right? Pre getting the second dog, really didn't care. Like he ate his food and everything, but like would graze, would mosey around, didn't really care. We get the second dog, whoops it down and gone like a second. So I think it's really like I'm gonna eat it before you do. Like I'm gonna eat more of it before you do. Like it really is like interesting. Go food him, fam. Yeah, I'm gonna feed him. I'm gonna feed them in a minute. I'm just finishing up here. I'll probably run it to. I think we're at an hour. I don't know. We're at. I don't know if it. I don't know if it's an hour and 14 minutes or 114 minutes. But I guess I'll run it to. We'll say 120, and then I'll kill it. But Doug tells me when it's 4 o'clock. Yeah. So him, 5 o'clock rolls around, he will stand on you. He will let you know it's food time. So here's the thing, when we were feeding them kibble, we really debated the slow feeder because Lou, especially when he was really young, we realized he would eat like not crazy fast, but fast to the point where he would eat a bunch of food, he'd drink a bunch of water, and it was too much, he'd puke it up. And I think a lot of it was because his snout was really short when he was, especially drinking the water. It was like he was like, getting it in his snout and everything, and it was like causing him issues. But now with the kale and the raw meat, I don't really think the slow feeder would do anything because of like, obviously the normally the ridges and everything, it's supposed to like get the food down in there and make it harder for them to get it out. But I really don't think it would work. And plus with him, like I think, and it's funny because G Webs just said, did you say use? Oh no, Wood said we tried those. They chewed up the bowls. I think that would happen. That I think that they would eat the bowls if you try to put a like a slow feeder in, especially him. Like he would not have it. So yeah, G Webs. We debated the slow feeders, but or the slow bowls. But honestly, I don't think they would accept it. I think they would eat the bowls. With my lab, I have to because of her stomach. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah. We really debated it, but honestly, with switching them to like raw food, they don't have as much. Like I think since switching them maybe twice. Like one of them has puked, but like honestly, it seems to be a one day. Yeah, that's how Cooper is after Lou came along is he just inhales it. Like he will like Lou is much slower and I think it's because of his shorter snout. But like what'll happen is like Cooper will wolf down his bowl and then like if like Lou gets a few pieces of kale or lettuce or something on the ground, Cooper will like help him by cleaning it up, which of course doesn't go over well. But yeah, it's crazy like how some of them just like inhale the food. All right, Lou, we got to close this up. I think we got everything. Oh, we got to put these in. I love these little things too because they're great for if you say you've shot out the center of a target, you stick one of these up, and you get to save on not having to put a new target up. All right, this is close this. Yeah, I got to get some first aid stuff into my range case. Show me, Alan Anchor. You always show up towards the end, but unfortunately, I'm not showing you my boobs. Never understand how some could be ruthless to an animal over. Yeah, so growing up, we had a Boston Terrier. What was it? Boston Terrier Jack Russell mix. The dog was nuts, but we were both. My sister and I were both kind of young, so it was a high energy dog for two high energy kids, and they considered crate training basically shoving the dog in a crate. They bought the dog for a 1 year old, right? They bought this puppy for a 1 year old, this high energy puppy. And the story was that basically the puppy tried to roll the baby. In other words, I'm guessing what happened is they put the puppy on the ground, they put the baby on the ground, and the excited little puppy, runs up to the baby and was like knocking it over, licking it, and all excited. Not really the dog's fault; it doesn't know any better. And they basically the dog lived in its crate. And the one time somebody I think was sweeping or something had just a broom out or something, and the dog was cowering. So we're pretty sure the dog got beat pretty bad like that. But luckily she got to live the rest of her life a happy puppy that didn't get abused. But yeah, it's terrible when some people like abuse dogs. Like out here, it's the saddest thing because every time I see it, I want to like you want to call like I forget what the thing you call animal control or whatever, and be like, hey, these dogs are get abused, but you see it all the time. Um, People like there's different rules out here for solicitation in Arizona, and you'll see people in 110-degree heat sitting there with little crate like sitting in their back of their car, trying to sell dogs on the side of the road, and it's like that's not fair to the dogs. There's no way that even if you have the car on with the AC going, it's no way that it's not too hot for those dogs. But people trying to make money. I'm never coming back to Arizona. I don't blame you. Like, Arizona is beautiful, but we're having this never ending summer thing going on. You bought a pickup from Target. I don't know if that's for me. Buy a 1-year-old monkey, not a puppy. Yeah, I like the family we got her from. And I mean, this dog was the most lovable dog ever. But it's like you bought a high energy dog for a 1-year-old and then got upset because the high energy playful puppy wanted to play with the little kid. And yeah, they just, I don't know. I think people get dogs as gifts and they don't think it through, that like, hey, you've got this animal that's going to be with you and part of the family for a long time. I got itch cream because there's mosquitoes in California. Yeah, I don't think there's any here. There's flies here. I was doing some painting earlier and they were going all over it, but there's no mosquitoes, I don't think. I didn't know they sold those. Sold what? Maybe I'm missing something. It's 70. Oh, it's 72 degrees. Yeah, I wish it was 72 degrees here. It's still hot. Like, it was hot here today. It was like 100 and something. Yeah, it's like it's crazy because I went to Sam's Club and Costco trying to get more shorts, and I'm like, both places, oh, they've got long pants, they've got their winter stuff out, they've got like jackets and stuff out, and I'm saying, of course it's not the employee's fault, they just work there, but I'm saying to them like what happened? Like, what's the deal with all the oh yeah, we got the winter stuff out. I'm like, it's 110. Like, the only people wearing long pants are the people that are forced to wear long pants for their job. But oh, thank you. So I think someone else might ask about the shirt. This is my Ballastol shirt, and my wife got it for me, and it's quite a nice shirt. I like the green, but I put it on because it's so hot that I'm driving around the Mustang that is based off. It's for the other channel, and here's the feed me, damn it, with the big puppy dog eyes. So I got home and I had to switch to my shirt. It's 70 now. Oh, that's nice. 54 and raining. Yes. Thank you, everyone, for letting me know how nicer your weather is compared to mine. I do appreciate that. Show office so I can see how much cleaning you did. You're breaking up. They're interference. I'm sorry. Oh, I just lost the camera feed. I'm sorry. No, I'm kidding. I did some cleaning. I'll have you know, I did a little bit. I put my range case back away. I put the targets away. I've done a little bit of cleaning in the office. I'm going to do some more. Um, but it's a work in progress. Let's see. My puppy is still healing from her last owner. From what Shelter said, she was kicked many times in the stomach and had Jesus, that's nasty. So I've seen a couple abused dogs, and this story is sad but a little bit funny. So I forget, somewhere I went to this one event, and there was this pit bull rescue, and they called the dog Marilyn, and I remember I was sitting talking to him, loving up the dogs. And for those that don't know, like, pit bulls get a really bad rep. But if you abuse any dog, it's going to become nasty. But pit bulls, I mean, I've seen pit bulls that are afraid of children. Like, they're really are scaredy cats, but they're like big lovable lugs. And there was this one pit bull, Maryland, that was abused by this one. I guess it was this couple, and like the guy and the couple really abused the dog, and the dog hated men. right? Like wouldn't do anything with a guy, wouldn't go near him, whatever. So anyway, I was sitting there, chatting with him for a couple minutes and like loving up this other dog. And finally, Marilyn like came over to me a little bit, and I started loving up, her and like giving her attention and everything. And I said to him, I'm like, is it worrying that the dog that doesn't like men is allowing me to give them attention? But it really was sad that like how scared this dog was of men just because this other guy had like abused the dog. So it's really, I don't understand, like, and I'm assuming it's like, it's like everybody else. I'm sure it's some, mental issue, trauma, whatever that you're taking out on this dog. But it's really sad when people abuse dogs for no reason. You picked that out then, Angelina. I don't know. I'm not sure what you mean. It's cold already. Gets under 80 at night. Yeah, so it is actually. It's finally getting cool here at night. It's kind of nice. I'm hoping it stays cool in the daytime because there's a lot of outdoor work I want to get done. I want to go out to the desert, but it's too hot to go out in the desert. Yes, Lewis is there. I think I got to catch up. It's to Sam. I don't know if it's not giving me the option to translate that, so I don't know what you said. But hello, it's to Sam Navzaza. I'm sure I messed that up. 90 here in California. I'm in California and it's 70. Where are you? I don't know if you're asking Bearded Guy that, because I think Alan Anchor knows where I am. Let's see. My Chihuahua is protecting me while I'm loading ammo. Oh, nice. Yeah. These guys like Lou is very protective. She sent you 9mm. Oh, here I'll pan down. I don't know how well. We'll pan down in the dirty office, and I'll show you the guard cat, who is, as you can see, and then pan down to Lewis, who is basically patiently waiting. Um, but yeah, my office is a mess right now. I have to move that CNC machine back into our spare room. I guess it's something we got to hook up, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. But I'm going to move it back into the spare room. Yes, very hard at work. Yeah, that's what the cat does. Honestly, the cat is a supervisor. Like the cat will let you know when you're not doing what it wants you to do. Like we have a little food station set up for it on the half wall, and if it's low, it will grab you as you walk past it, and like basically be like, hey, you need to fill this. But I gotta put my brass away and clean this up. Yeah, here's a little Cooper patch. Colonial Cooper. We have one for Lou that I want to do. I want to do him as a little doughboy, World War I doughboy with a little trench gun. But he keeps being bad, so it makes it tough to be like, okay, we're doing a patch of you. But we got to break down and do a patch of him because we have Cooper. And then we have to do Elmer. I don't know what Elmer would be. Lou is a little doughboy, and Cooper is a little colonial Revolutionary War soldier, like a Minuteman, and I don't know what Elmer would be. I'm suspecting Elmer might be a little cowboy figure, maybe, because we got him in Arizona. Thank you, bearded and tattooed guy. You have a good night too. Thanks for watching. But let's see, working on cleaning all this up. My duffel bags of magazines I have to put away. Right before COVID got bad. Where here can I get those? Oh, so you can get these at alananchor.com. Alananchor.com actually made my patch, which I can show you guys. I might have one. Let me see. They do a lot of really cool work. Do I have one of them? I don't actually have one of them. Holy crap, I do not have one of them on my wall. Okay, next time I'll have to show you guys one because I don't actually have one. I don't know where it went. I might have pulled it off for something because it's not on my. This is crazy. I don't have one. I thought I did. I've got a little reject prototype, but that one's, there's a long story to that one, but I do not have, but I can show you guys. I'll pan over and show my little patch wall here that does have a lot of Allen Anchor stuff. But yeah, that's a bunch of stuff from Allen Anchor. They do some stuff. But yeah, here's the absolute train wreck mess that is my workbench. There's the old style Remington Model 11 shotgun that's been sitting there for about a year now. I have to get around to figuring that out. I don't quite know what to do with it. The problem with it is it's basically got to be completely redone. The wood is soaked in oil, so it's cracked out and it's trash. So it's basically just there because I don't have the heart to throw it out until I get replacements. Uh, Everything on the gun, I think it's solid, but there's some decent sections of rust. The barrel might have to get cut down. So it basically at this point needs to be stripped. It basically just needs money. It needs to be stripped down, refinished. I'd probably Cerakote it at this point. And if it's got to cut down, I debate cutting it down to like a 20-inch or an 18-inch barrel and just having like a rad semi-automatic, maybe even doing kind of like a whippet gun. I'm not sure. But I originally intended it for it to possibly be a bird gun, like a clay gun. But I think unfortunately it's a full choke barrel, but I think it's going to have to be cut down. And once even cutting off like an inch or so, like 2 inches, I think it's basically going to eliminate the choke. So if that has to be, I might just cut it down to like an 18-inch barrel. Oh yeah, I have one of them. I think it's on the other panel. This panel, there's bigger panels in the office, but I have my little panel here that's in my little office. But I have some pretty cool. Let's see. I'll show some of the cool patches. Let's see. What's a good one? Let's see. Oh, my little. Yeah. Oh, hang on. I'm pulling the whole panel down. Allen Anchor uses good Velcro, but I'll pull this off. So here's one of a good one for those old enough to remember. Duck Hunt, pretty awesome. But this one actually glows. I don't know. If I turn out the lights, let's experiment here. It doesn't really show up, but it does glow. It doesn't really show up in this, probably because it's the camera's trying to compensate. But they do some pretty cool stuff. But yeah, it's like the tomahawk. Oh, thank you. So that is I think it's McCullen. I forget how you pronounce the guy's last name, but he made that for me years ago. And he's actually, I've got a knife by him too. His stuff he's gotten more popular over the years. But I think it's like Mark McCullen or whatever. But he made it to, I wanted one to my specs. So he made me, and I wanted one with a nice long spike on the end because these spikes can go through quite a lot of things. And this is like I think a tiger maple handle, if I remember right. But he made this for me to my specs, and it's just a nice, handy little thing. I've used it once or twice in some videos. You can see the spike. I've kind of got some wear on there from getting used. I think I might have lost a bet to my uh, not wife yet at the time, but was we had a bet that I forget what the bet was, but I ended up losing the bet. Oh, I remember what it was. I had a laptop that had finally run its course, and it was time to, ensure that the hard drive and everything would never be, absconded off with, and someone was going to use it. So I bet that the spike would go through the whole laptop in one swing, and I lost the bet because while it went through quite a lot of the laptop, you don't realize how much metal is in a laptop until you, well, try and send a spike through it. And the thing is, this is good and light. So while it's got a good bit of leverage, it didn't have the mass and the weight to go through it. So I ended up losing a bet because of my choice in weapon to try and put a spike all the way through a laptop in one swing. But I think I had to drink a cherry Coke or something because I lost that bet. But I lived, thankfully, barely. But put that back on the wall. But yeah, I just hang it on the wall. But yeah, it's a good zombie weapon. It's nice and sharp too. Like he did really nice work. I don't know where. I think my knife that he did a Damascus stag knife that I grabbed. It's a really nice knife that I carried every once in a while. My wife actually made me a really nice sheath for it that I carried in. All right, hang on, you can go out. Elmer and Lou, the cat and the Boston Terrier, are very good friends. So that's what I was saying in a little bit. Cooper didn't want a friend, so when we got the second dog, Cooper really didn't. We learned very quickly that Cooper was the, we'll quote say, first child and wanted to remain the only child. So while they get along, they just, they play, but like you could just tell that Cooper just kind of accepted Lou, and Lou kind of wanted a friend, and it didn't. Uh, you know, so once we got Elmer, we found out that like Elmer and Lou actually became really good friends, and the cat and him play a lot. I'm off to sleep for a minute. Be well. See you, Woods. Thanks for stopping by. I'm going to stop this here in a minute. I know I said I was going to stop at 120. I guess I'll stop it at 140. But yeah. So anyway, this is my office cleaning. I've done a little bit. I've put some stuff away. I got a few more. Oh, I'll show you my. Uh, so basically, when you can't afford the real thing, you collect Hot Wheels. That's actually something that my grandfather got me started into because he would give me Hot Wheels when I was a little kid. So I started collecting them, and then just kept collecting them as an adult. So now I have a wall of Hot Wheels that sits there, and mostly, actually, I got like an entire row of Mustangs. So that kind of obvious what I was into. Hello, Lou. They're fighting back and not really fighting, but they're playing back and forth through the door because the cat's on the other side of the door sticking his paws under. But well, I got 26 people watching. Thank you to everybody for watching. I didn't realize I was that interesting. The last time I tried live streams, I was at like 300 subs, and I think it was before YouTube changed their policy. So I was actually doing live streams from the range, which I won't dare try now because I think it's pretty much an instant ban. But I think I'd get like 5 people watching. So it's crazy now that I'm at almost 10,000 subs that I get this kind of people watching. But thank you everybody watching, and thank you for the $5. I really appreciate that. And thanks for the thumbs up and everything. But almost done here. I have to do a little more cleaning. I think in reality, it's funny. They always say men can't multitask, and I think this is maybe unfortunately a good proof of concept of that because I've been doing this for 137 minutes, and basically the cleaning of the office, I've done like 3 things, and then meanwhile I've talked for this long. When you get some time, let's chat. Yeah, definitely. Definitely can do that at some point. I don't know how to make these go off air or anything, so that'll be. I'm doing this off my phone. I hit a button, it goes live. But yeah, it's definitely interesting doing these again, and it's crazy that people are actually interested in this. But yeah, I have to do another video soon. I want to show off. I want to talk about that FN because definitely really disappointed in that. I really was not expecting to find pitting underneath something that is that crazy expensive and is that new. But I think FN is going to take care of it. So I'll be curious to hear if they. Well, the thing I really want to know is if that finish was supposed to do that, and by supposed to do that, I mean if that's like basically the quote rust resistance that they rate that finish for, or if that was just a bad finish. So I'm going to do a video on that soon, and I'm going to send that in. And they said their turnaround time's about 2 weeks, so I hope to get that back and kind of get some answers on whether or not that's going to do it again. But oh, you guys are all over. You're getting feisty and crazy, aren't you? But yeah, do a few more things here. I'll click off this soon enough. But yeah, thanks everybody still watching. 15 watchers. I don't know who all is still out there, but yeah. So this is pretty much. I'll give a quick show of some of the office. So basically, these are the two cabinets. There's my radio that's got an Alexa in it. That's the background with got the Delta Elite ad that my wife got me. I got the Jeff Cooper Fighting Handguns little magazine that I got years ago, and then I got a little original comic book that my wife got me. That's in a frame, and I've got some of the model kits and stuff. Some of the ones I didn't build when I was a kid. I was really into building that stuff when I was a kid, and what ended up happening was because I yard saled and flea market, you got way more models than you'd ever build. But some of them I've just hold over from that. But then some of them I've got Batmobile, Green Hornet, GT40, and then I got a F40, the ZZ Top Eliminator, and actually the I forget what Bond movie did. I think Diamonds Are Forever. The Mustang. Up there, I've got a couple little things. I've got a little Tootsie Toy Red Baron that I got in Pennsylvania. Actually, no, I saw it in Pennsylvania and didn't buy it. And then my wife was kind of quietly trying to get it for me because I realized that I couldn't actually find them because they're rarer than I realized. And then a little stained glass cactuses my wife made me, and then a little Peanuts Snoopy Red Baron thing. I don't know how well that focuses up there. I can't make it focus, but got that up there, and of course the helmets, and then a little cactus, right? There's the plaque for my Man with No Name cartridge conversion. I'm actually getting rid of that, so I don't know what I'm gonna do with the plaque. The plaque might come down. I don't know, but after Clint Eastwood kind of made that whole comment about supporting Bloomberg, I just, as hard as it is, I just could not support him in any of the endeavors because like I just could not support Bloomberg, with all the things he was saying about as far as gun control and stuff. So I'm kind of getting rid of that stuff. But then come over here, got just some more stuff. Got my Tomahawk model Slave One Colt thing, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. Workbench is over there. But I'd like to thank everybody who has watched the cleaning the office. Yeah, it is sad. It really was sad, and it was something. He's gotten pretty old, and I don't know how to say this, and I don't want it to sound bad, but when I heard the thing that he basically had like endorsed Bloomberg, I I don't know how to nicely say this, but it's kind of one of those things where you honestly wish he had just you find out that oh he went senile or something. And again, I don't wish that on anybody because that's terrible. And like my that happened to my grandfather. He got Alzheimer's, and it was really terrible. And I really don't wish that on anybody. But it was just one of those things where it's like you hear him say oh the best thing we can do is get Mike Bloomberg in there as far as like whatever. And it was just like what like he's pushed some really nasty anti-constitutional things, and I'm just like, really? Guns have been in pretty much all of your movies? Like you've and I mean I realize when you're an actor you're playing a role, so it doesn't necessarily line up with your you know um your beliefs. And that's I think something people forget is when an actor is doing their job, they're acting out a role. They're not it doesn't necessarily line up with their beliefs. But when he said that, I'm like, I'm sorry, but I can't support that. Like that's but it was a really shame when he said that. And like I said, I really just kept waiting for it to be like, oh, he doesn't know what he's saying. He misspoke or he was misquoted. And I actually did videos because I had a signed print of him that I got rid of, and people were like, it was said that he didn't mean it or something. And I like said to people, I'm like, hey, show me evidence that he didn't say that, or here's a statement of him denying it, or a statement of oh it was taken out of context, and I'd love to hear it because you know what, he did a lot of really cool movies as an actor. Dirty Harry, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. The whole spaghetti western series, all that stuff. Really interesting movies and really good movies. That if you're into firearms in the old west, are kind of, staple movies. Um, but yeah, I never heard anything that kind of disputed, his statement. So it was like, well, I'm not gonna hang your picture on the wall and and show that. And so that's why, like I said, I'm in the process of getting rid of the gun, and I got rid of the print. But yeah, it's a shame when when you see stuff like that, you know someone that, like, and I forget who it was. I think it was De Niro or somebody who ended up being in a lot of movies involving guns and stuff, and then comes out um, you know against it. It's like, yeah, you're kind of a hypocrite. Yeah, totally. I mean, like, you know, it's really interesting because you hear people talk about the Dirty Harry series and how, like, it kind of made a statement on like, and I mean, back then, it's not as bad as it was, but kind of the way the bureaucratic tape gets involved with, like, we'll say, like, law and order, and the fact that, like, justice and the law don't always line up. And it was really an interesting statement when you look at it, like, from a distance, and say, okay, you know what, like, obviously, it's a movie, it's not real life, but, like, the lines he said, and like in the first movie of Dirty Harry, where the Scorpio, I think it was Scorpio, we're going to say it was Scorpio, I haven't seen the movie in a couple of years, where he tracks the guy down, and he finds the rifle, and he finds the guy, and the guy is saying, basically admitting to it. And then it comes out, well, you didn't get a warrant, and you didn't get anything, and you got that confession under distress, and basically throwing it out and putting the guy back on the street. And it's like, like, I mean, so you didn't get a warrant, like, you found the gun there. And again, I'm not saying cops should just be able to go in anywhere without warrants, because that you know the unlawful search and seizure is there for a reason. But it really, it kind of it made an interesting statement about the fact that, again, sometimes the law and justice don't always meet in the middle to form, how things should be. So it was really an interesting take on, how things, and we see it more and more, especially in, like, states like California, where, like, the homeless situation in California is terrible. It's terrible. Like, you drive around LA, and there's entire streets where there's just rows of tents and rows of people, and it's not the bum with a heart of gold that's just camping on the street. It's full on people that they're like, they're nuts. Like, you see it on Instagram and stuff, in some of the groups where, like, they're attacking people, they're doing stuff, and the police don't do anything. So, it's a real shame, because, like, those some of the movies were kind of making the points that, have now, as time has gone on, have become more of a problem. But, like, it's so interesting that, like, he was in those leading roles in those movies that made those points, and talk, basically said, hey, you know what, like, the softening up on crime, and the softening up of police forces, and the slap on the wrist. Oh yeah, downtown Phoenix, like, there's parts of Phoenix that are as bad as LA. Like, it's interesting, but, like, there was these. Let me make sure the battery's not. Oh, I got 4%. I'm gonna end this in a sec. Um, he made those statements in those movies, and again, he was just an actor. But it's like, yeah, you know, you make those statements in those movies. You took those roles, and then you say these other things, and it's like, well, I guess at the end of the day, you're just an actor. But yeah, downtown Phoenix, it's getting ugly. Like, Phoenix is an interesting place, but it's really starting to look a lot like LA. And it's really sad, because, like, LA has gotten to the point where, like, I wouldn't know, like, the biggest problem is, what do you do with people that no longer function with society? And again, too many people think that, the people in the street, oh, it's just a poor bum with a heart of gold, he's not meaning anything, he's just collecting cans, and he's just he's down on his luck. And that's not the case. It's not. It really isn't. It's people that, like they'll basically stand out front of stores, and, like, hit people up for money and like, you know, harass people if they don't give them money. And you know, they'll flip out. Like they'll flip out on you if you don't give them money. And it's like, no, this is not the bum with a heart of gold. This is someone who really, you know, yeah, yeah, exactly. Fentanyl. That is exactly what it is. It is people who, unfortunately, you know, from one way or another, most of them you see it. They've become addicted to substances, and they they unfortunately can no longer function with society, and it's sad because you know what they really needed was mental help and they didn't get it. But you know, that is the big question as far as, you know, the problem of, you know, what's happening in LA, or has happened in LA, is it happening in Phoenix, is what do you do with human beings that can no longer function in society? What do you do with an adult who has rights as an American citizen, who, you know, basically is, there's nothing you can do with them. They will never, they will never function in society again in a normal manner because their brain, for lack of a better term, has become rotted out. So it really is sad. It's sad seeing it because it's a system that has failed these people. You know, the drugs and everything that's, you know, it's failed these people. And yeah, but it really is sad seeing it. But yeah, Phoenix, LA, some of these major cities, they really have gotten bad. Like it's really interesting, and some of the stuff you see, like I said, there's some Instagram channels that you can join that kind of show some of a rawer side of these big cities, and it's crazy. But anyway, I've talked enough about topics that are probably going to get me shut down and my phone's at 3%. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining. I really appreciate it. You know, I'm still got 16 people listening to this, so maybe it's entertaining enough. But thank you to everybody, and I might do another one of these soon. And maybe what I'll do is after I feed my dogs, I might put some real effort in cleaning up the office because, as you can have seen, it's kind of a mess. But again, thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you for the likes, subs, everything. I really appreciate it, and I will see you all later. And stay tuned because I'm going to do that video talking about that FN in a little bit. But I will see you all later, and thanks for watching.